And we are live. Welcome to our weekly live. My name is Annie, and this is Annie's Flock Weekly Live. So today, the topic, what we're going to be talking about is perches for your pet birds. So that was the topic that was chosen. Now, there's so much to say about perches. Really, I have some notes here, but what to use, what kind of material, what size, how you should place them. I'm going to show you some of my favorite perches, what to avoid, some little tips and tricks maybe of things you can do to use maybe perches that you have currently that isn't really good for your birds. So we're going to cover a lot of things about perches, and hopefully you're going to find some interesting stuff in there or things that you might have not known. So before we jump into the subject, while I'm still waiting to have some people join the live, let's just have for people that don't know, that never watched one of my live, I go live every Saturday from 10 to 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. And every week it's a different topic. And you get to pick that topic by voting either on my YouTube page under the post tab, where I put every Thursday, I put a poll where you can vote for the topic of your choice. And then I do the same thing on Annie's Flock Instagram page in my story. So if you don't follow Annie's Flock on Instagram, look in the description box of this live and you will find the link to follow Annie's Flock on Instagram. All right, so let's talk about perches now that we have this blah blah out of the way. So what do we need to use for perches? So it's very important for your pet bird, your parrot, to have multiple type of perches, different style of perches, this different size of perches, different material as well, different texture, because we want to mimic what be natural, right? If for them in nature, in the wild, and they don't all. I mean, they go on trees and stuff like that. The branches are different sizes and different textures, and that's what they're made for. The other thing that's important as well is to make rotation for those, and I'm going to get over a little bit more on why this is important. So what you want to try to have mostly is anything that's more natural looking for your birds. And this is really for their feet's health, because they are standing on their feet 24/7. All the time, right? So to be able to get their feet exercised and to keep them healthy, and they need different type of perches like they would have in the wild. This is what their feet are meant for. The other thing is it can, what you want to avoid is what can become what we call bumble feet, which is a type of condition that your bird can develop because they always have their feet standing on the same perch or same type of material, same size all the time, or something that is too smooth. And I'm going to show you an example of this in a little bit here, but something that is too smooth can create inflammation and anyways, and then it's really hard for them to be able to recover from this sometimes if it gets to a certain point. So if you want to keep your parrots, your pet birds' feet healthy, you have to choose different type of perches. Hi, Rimsan. So I'm gonna once in a while look at the comments, especially if you have questions about this topic. Don't hesitate to put that in the chat. Okay. Okay. So why is it important to do a rotation also to have? So if you always use the same perches all the time and you don't do a rotation within the cage or other perches, what happens, what I've discovered with my flock is that, and I've heard this from other people as well, is that sometimes some parrots or some birds are going to get used to, not get used to, but they're going to have a favorite spot in their cage, or they're going to have a favorite perch, or a combination of both. So if you see this happening, I mean, if you don't see this happening and your bird is all over the place, then it really doesn't matter if you do a rotation, although I think it's fun and interesting to change things up because change is actually really good for your parrot. It's keeping them mentally stimulated, which they need because they're so smart. Otherwise, they get bored. That's Lucy, my Indian ringneck. Again. So it's fun to change it up. But also if you realize that your bird has a favorite perch or a favorite spot in the cage, you definitely want to rotate and change things up. I would say at least once a week, because even though you have different textures, different perches, different sizes, what's going to happen is they're just going to be on the same ones all the time. And then you're going to have that same issue that you're trying to avoid. Also, sometimes they will have a hard time to grip to smaller perches or bigger perches. And they're going to, so my Indian ringneck, for example, I don't have a lot of history from her. I had her for about 1.5 years and she was already 6 years old. But I can tell by how her feet are moving, especially at first when I first got her. Some of her like claws, if you will, were keeping it straight. She had a hard time to fully close, and at the beginning, it was hard for her to actually fly and land onto some sizes of perch, if you will. So what that tells me is that she was used to have always the same size of perch. So her muscles wasn't really working, right? So this is why you want to have different sizes, is that their muscles and then their tendon and everything are working properly so they can grip onto things properly and keep themselves stable. She was very unstable at first. She's so chatty. That's my Indian ringneck over there. She keeps chatting. So yeah, so that's why it's so important to have different sizes. I can see now she's getting better because I forced her to exercise. Hopefully, guys, since she's not too loud and you can hear me. I feel like she wants to be part of this. If she keeps screaming at me right now, I'll just go for a little walk. I'll go over there, get her out of her cage, and then she might just come over for the live. And if you want to have her in the live, just let me know too. Sometimes it's just a little distracting, that's all. All right, so let's show you my favorite, some of my favorite perches, so you have an idea of what the heck I'm talking about. So I have different style. I have some that I like, but not because they're my favorite that I only use them. I do a rotation and they have different type of perches anyways. Hi, Anna. All right, so this is one. I really like that one because, again, it's natural wood and different sizes, right? I have to say also, there is, so I have 4 birds. If you guys don't know, if you've never been on my channel, I have four birds, 2 budgies, one black cape conure, which is very similar to a green cheek conure, and one Indian ring neck. I rotate my perches in between all of my birds, except for a few ones, either they're too big or too small. So if they're really too small, I'm going to use them only for my budgies. And some of them are really, really too big for my budgies, which makes no point to have this so big. So, but most, I want to say like 95% of my perches are, I rotate in between all of my birds. Yeah, they all use it at some point. So I have this one that I really like. Yeah, all different sizes, very, I don't know if you can see the texture well, but it's kind of rough, like it's actual wood, right? So this is a good one. Now let's see. I have this one here that I really like too because of the shape, and it's natural wood. It's like a vine. I don't remember the name of the vine, but yeah, and then it's transformed into a perch. So like the way I can place it also in the cage can look differently, right? So I know that when I put it like this, for example, usually, and especially my Indian ring neck and my conure, they just like to perch here on the top. It's so funny how they just, and it's really mimicking like an actual branch, right? That's the deal. Like it really mimics a real branch in a tree in nature. So I really like that one too. Yeah. And do you see like the difference in sizes? That's what I mean. Different sizes. That's good. It helps also to keep their nails trimmed naturally. I'm going to show you one that I like for this too, specifically for nail trimming. I have this one too that I really like. I have 3 in that style that it looks like an actual branch. So different sizes and then different, yeah, just different layout, if you will. I have 3 different ones like this, but 2 of them are already in cages. So this one, because again, I have more than what I need. So that way it's just easier for me also when I clean. I can just remove the perches that are dirty and wash them, but I don't have to wait until they're dry. I can just switch it over and it's just faster for me. So I have more than what I use and then I just rotate. So this one I really like. The budgies, they love that one because it's a real branch. It mimics like a real tree, right? So it's so cool. Yes, this is big, right? It's bigger than my face. So you need a big cage. And again, if you've ever watched any of my videos, some of my videos, I do talk about this. I guess, did I talk about cages in my live stream? I'm not sure. Maybe that could be another subject, but I love and I believe that every bird should be in a flight cage. So my budgies are in a huge flight cage. I want to say like probably 22 inches deep by maybe 36 inches wide, and it's pretty tall. So they can fly around. They all have the same size. All my birds have the same size. I would like to upgrade Lucy, my Indian ringneck, to something bigger than that. That's in the project. I'm working on this. But yes, you do need a really big cage to put that in, which is awesome. The bigger, the better. So yeah, my budgies really like that. So see how this one is even like thinner, right? Really, really small. Do I still use this for my conure and my Indian ringneck? Yes, absolutely. Although you'll see, oh yeah, but it's so tiny, it's so small, it's only for budgies. Well, I do use this one for my Indian ringneck and conure as well because, again, this really helped my Indian ringneck to work those tendons and muscles in her feet because she had a hard time to grip onto things and be stable. So that was like, so it's like, if you know, if you hurt yourself, you have an accident or something, or you have surgery or what, or you break your foot or your like a finger or whatever, and then especially if you're older, and then you have to do some exercise to be able to gain that strength and that flexibility again. Well, this is kind of the exercise right there that you need for your bird or your parrot to either help them get better, get stronger and more flexible, or to prevent them from having, you know, strength issues in their feet or claws. Feet, I guess. So yeah, I use this quite a bit, not constantly, like she had other perch and everything. And that's not her favorite because she didn't feel stable on this at all because it's so tiny. And she had a hard time to grip on, but it really helped her. Sometimes I find you have to put your parrots or your pet bird or in an uncomfortable position in order for them to be more healthy. Does that make sense? Right? If they're too comfortable, they won't exercise. They'll get kind of complacent, if you will. So yeah, doesn't work. Now let me show you what I really like for nail trimming, natural nail trimming. So yes, of course, these ones, they help because they're natural wood, but I love also cement perches. I'm going to show you my tiny little one, this one for, I can do this more. Wait, can you hear this? I'm filing my nail. So it does the same thing for your bird. So this one is a tiny little one for my budgies. There's the top part here is super smooth, and then the bottom is really rough. So what I do is I usually put the smooth part on top so that the inside of their feet is going to be on this one, and then their claws are going to grip on the side, which it's going to file their nails naturally. So this one I use only for my budgies because it's too small. It won't do anything for Lucy and the Olive, my Indian Redneck, and my Conure. Then I have a bigger one for my let me see what it says here. Oh yeah, I guess that's Portuguese. I don't speak Portuguese. I speak English and French. Yeah. So this one here is what the same thing, right? It's the exact same thing, but the size is different, and it's the same situation. It's soft here so that they can land on it, and then here it's the rough part where you can file the nails. So they file their nails naturally on this. And this size, I use it for my Indian Ringneck and my Conure. So they always, not always my budgies, because I find filing their nails, it's a little bit easier. Oui, je parle français. Tout à fait. Donc, si tu as des questions et tu es plus à l'aise en français, tu peux les mettre en français dans le chat, dans les commentaires. Je vais pouvoir répondre, il n'y a pas de problème. What was I saying? Qu'est-ce que je disais? Yeah, so the budgies, they don't always have one, but my Conure and my Indian Ringneck, they always have one in their cage to make sure they file their nails naturally. My Conure, sometimes I have to file her nails, especially one of her foot. I find one nail in particular tends to be a little bit longer than the other one sometimes, so I'll give her a little filing. But I trained her to do that. So if you'd like to have a demonstration on how we do this and how I trained her, let me know and I can do that. She's the only one that's trained. Non, j'habite au Canada. Non, je suis pas américaine, j'habite au Canada. Je suis canadienne. So, for anyone on here that hear me speak French, it's because someone here is in the chat in French and was asking questions. So, yeah, so going back to the perch, I always want these into my conure and my Indian ringneck cage to keep their nails trimmed naturally. Now, what I want to show you next, sorry, I'm going to take a little sip of water, is what to avoid. What should you avoid? What type of perch should you avoid in your bird's cage? And those are the perches that you find everywhere in every pet store. And when you buy a cage, whatever the cage and the size of the cage and how amazing the cage may be, I find there's always at least one of these that comes with the cage. And it's actually terrible for your bird. And this is the dowel perch. Yeah. This is the one that you should definitely avoid. Why? Because these are like monkey bars. Do you remember when we were kids, monkey bars? I mean, it's fun. We would play with monkey bars, but we would get like, if we'd play too long, we would get like some sores on our hands. Do you remember that? Well, if you have only this, if you have, let me see, just give me 1 second. I'm going to read that comment. Ah oui, le Canada, c'est un magnifique pays, effectivement. Je suis née et j'ai grandi au Québec. C'est pour ça que je parle français et avec cet accent québécois. Mais maintenant, j'habite complètement à l'opposé du pays, en Colombie-Britannique. Donc, voilà. Mais oui, c'est un magnifique pays, effectivement. Okay, going back to dowel perch. The dowel perch, why is it bad? Yeah, so it's like monkey bars. So it's like if your bird was a monkey. So let's say, okay, if you have only dowel perches in your cage, okay, or your bird, their favorite perch is a dowel perch, okay? So what happens is that they spend a lot of time on that dowel perch. What happens is if, let's say we transpose this into a human, okay? That is the same thing as if you were hanging on to monkey bars all the time, like 24 hours a day. Can you imagine how your hands would look like after a little bit? Well, this is exactly what it does. And those are the worst for bumblefoot, which is, it gets so sore that it creates it gets inflames and sore and it gets red. And then they get those little like bubbles on their feet. And it's really, really, really painful. J'ai 45 ans, donc oui, j'ai 30 plus que toi. All right, so this is bad for your birds, really. Let's go back to the bird thing. This is really bad, but we all have those, okay? And you may have multiple of those. And I'm not saying throw them in the garbage. That's not what I'm saying. I still have 5 minutes left to that live, and I will show you what you can do with the dowel perches that allows you to still use some, okay? Because I'm sure you have some. So I'll show you. I use vet wrap, okay? So it's by the company 3M. And you can find that on Amazon. I think some Dollarama has them. I personally buy them at my local pet. It's not a pet. Well, it's a bird store. There are they specialize in supplies for birds and also like smaller animals like bunnies and mice and rats and stuff like that. So you can look them up. Maybe for the replay, I'm going to try to put a link in the description box for them. They're called Feathered Addictions. They are in British Columbia, but they do, they ship internationally. So you can look them up. They sell those. And I find they're actually cheaper with them than Amazon for some reason. And I like to encourage my local small business. It's a small business and they're awesome. I mean, not everything, but this perch is from them. They have like almost all my toys are from them. They're pretty amazing. So I like to support local and small businesses. So yeah, Feathered Addiction, look them up. I will put the link in the replay. So maybe tomorrow it's going to be up. I'm not sure. Anyway, so let me show you what to do with this. Okay. And then I'm going to tell you how to use those, if you will. Okay. All right, so let me show you here. So basically you just wrap your perch around like this, okay? And what you can do, and you go down and you can do like different layers on it, okay? So I'm just gonna cut it. Okay. So, and then you just wrap it. So there's no glue on this, nothing. It just sells. Anyone that has tattoos probably saw their tattoo artist using this actually to wrap around their machine or whatever, because it gets kind of squishy and it's very, very comfortable. Okay, let me see. Yeah. So, yeah. So, and then you can wrap. So I wrapped it really quickly, but what you can do also to have different sizes on the same perch is you can wrap multiple layers and then just one layer. And then, so you'll have the same perch with different sizes, and it's kind of squishy and very comfortable. So there's a reason why tattoo artists are using this, for the grip and how comfortable it is really for their hands. So it's the same type of idea for your birds. Now, there's a few, you have to be cautious about a few things. So little warning here. First off, if you're using this, you need other perch. You cannot use only dowel. Sorry, I almost like hit myself with this thing. You cannot, oh my gosh, I have 1 minute left to this live. Okay, so you cannot use just this in the cage. They need natural wood. They need other textures, and this will not naturally trim your bird's nails. Absolutely not. So if you're using this, make sure it's a combination of other things like the other perches that I showed you. That is okay. The other thing you want to be careful of is that your bird does not chew and eat this, because parrots, they chew on things naturally. That's what they do, right? So you just want to be careful with this, because if they chew on it and they eat it, it's like a fab. It's kind of a fabric. So again, it's not good for them to eat that. So you just want to be careful with this. So personally, of all my birds, I only have my Indian ringneck Lucy that is eating this stuff. So I don't typically use this in her cage because of that. Now, having said that, real quick here, I was talking earlier about the habits that your parrots sometimes just stay in one spot, or they have a favorite spot to sleep, or they have a favorite perch or whatever. I personally didn't realize that even though I do a rotation, there's one of the perch that I think I left too long in the same spot. And I realized after a little bit that she was there a lot. And then I saw underneath her foot that she was starting to be sore in an area, like a little bit inflamed and red. And so, and I just realized this week. So I'm changing the perches. I'm doing a deep clean tomorrow, and I'm going to be rotating, and I'm going to put one of these in her cage. First, it's been a very long time since I put any of the dowel perches with the vet wrap on in her cage. So maybe she's going to lose the habit of eating it, hopefully. But I'm just going to give it a try because it's so comfortable, right? It's going to help her to heal. And I'm going to give it a try. If she starts eating it again, I'm just going to remove it automatically from her cage just to make sure that she does not, that she doesn't, eat this and ingest it, right? So that will be it for today's live. If you missed part of it and you're interested in knowing what I was talking about, you want to look up Annie's Flock. I will leave the live up on my page, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to hear more and you're interested in hearing about different topics, just always let me know. And then put that in the comments, or look up every Thursday. I put the poll up on my Instagram, Annie's Flock and Instagram page, Annie's Flock YouTube page under the post tab, and you can vote between 3 different topics that I put. And so that's Thursday, and then on the Saturday from 10 to 10:30, I go live for half an hour. Okay, bye guys. Have a nice week.